Hey folks, welcome to another edition of Fitness Friday Positives with Rachelle. Folks, last time I highlighted the value of confidence and being secure in who you are to your fitness journey. It doesn't matter if you are just beginning your fitness journey or if you've been going 20, 30, 40 years, or if you're in a leadership, supervisory, management role within the industry, ownership role within the industry. Confidence is so important. And of course, as you know, if you watch me long enough, I will be coming back to confidence again, so stay tuned for more on that in future episodes. But folks, want to shift gears here. Wanted to drop in a quick episode here on fitness trends. Fitness trends, things are always changing, and actually on this particular episode, I wanted to highlight just a few examples of technology and innovation and how that's impacting the industry. But folks, I wanted to kick this off with actually some very sad news. Very sad news. As you all know, for those of you who watched me long enough, I'm actually a very big Walmart fan. Love Walmart. Ever since my childhood, I'm just a very big Walmart fan. But I actually we have a number here in our Metro Detroit area, but I actually go to the one that's closer to my gym on the way home. I'll stop by there, and it's actually a larger super center. But we have one in Novi, and actually went to the grand opening of that location in 2012. So I'll go to that one sporadically if I need something. But I was in there the other day and saw the sign as soon as I walked in the door. New hours, new hours. So instead of being 24 hours, Walmart has changed their hours as of April 27th. Shows how long it's been since I've been in there. April 27th, the new hours became 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. So Walmart is no longer 24 hours in that particular location. And I thought to myself when I saw that, I said, man, when Walmart is cutting their hours, I mean, it just, wow, I was so shocked. But then just recognizing again, these publicly, particularly the publicly traded companies, these corporate chains in location, and this is certainly true in the fitness industry with LA Fitness and Lifetime Fitness, they don't play. I mean, they will cut people, they will cut hours, they will make all of the necessary changes in order to ensure that the viability of their locations, but also the profitability. I mean, that profitability piece is so important. But I just had to share that with you. In the same vein, wanted to share some more unfortunate news. But this is actually an article that appeared in Athletic Business, and Jason Scott actually wrote this article. It was May 2019. And it states, so the title of the article is Jacksonville Gym Franchises Abruptly Close. Let me read it here. A pair of retro fitness locations in Jacksonville, Florida abruptly shut down over the weekend with no notice given to members or employees. Action News Jax reports that the two locations, franchised by former Jacksonville Jaguars player David Gerard, had signs posted on the door reading, as a consequence of unsustainable and continuing financial losses, these gyms are closed. The news caught employees by surprise. Any kind of notice would have been nice, Rose Daniel, the fitness director at one of the gyms, told Action News Jax. I'm a single mom of a 5-year-old who's also expecting her second child. So, to not have an income in the blink of an eye, yeah, it sucks. As for members, a spokesperson told Action News Jax that all of their contracts had been canceled. Gerard, who quarterbacked the Jacksonville Jaguars from 2002 to 2010, offered no comment on the club closures. Now, this is one example, and I've highlighted this particular point, particularly as it relates to marketing, but just certainly overall business strategy. But this kind of stuff happens all the time. All the time. Whether you're talking about franchises, whether you're talking about privately owned gyms and studios, and I can certainly attest to the fact that Ballet Fitness and Novi closed in June of 2012, and there was no notice. I mean, we just walked up the morning. I can't even remember the exact day it was. I remember it was June. Walked up and bam, there were signs on the door stating that it was closed. Now, the employees may have had an inkling, but I can tell you the members were absolutely, I was just shocked that happened. But yet again, at the time, LA Fitness had bought a number of locations of Bally's across the country, and there's a reason why LA Fitness is ranked number one, the number one fitness chain according to Club Industry Magazine, and that is because they are relentless and they are ruthless when it comes to profitability and revenue generation. And the Novi Club was losing money and was tied into a long and very expensive lease, so they had to shut that down. And that was the ironic thing is they actually, Bally's or LA Fitness shut that down, and there's a boatload. If you know anything about Bally Fitness, lifetime memberships was actually a membership option. So you had a number of folks who started out in 1986, 87 at the Bally Fitness in one of our suburbs, Plymouth, Michigan, and you had a lot of people that started out with Bally's in the 80s, and they were lifetime members, so locked in for years and years. And Bally and LA Fitness at the time couldn't make it work, so they closed a number of locations across the country. But so this kind of stuff happens, and so that's why I always challenge you to really evaluate, just how things are going in your facilities, but certainly this the profitability aspect of, and I'm going to talk more about this certainly in future episodes, but I brought up that concept of market cannibalization and opening up too many locations within close proximity. And so that, of course, causes your existing facilities to certainly be cannibalized in many cases by the newer facilities. So just pay attention, really take note of that. But that was just a very unfortunate example that I had to share. This is an unfortunate fitness trend, but it's certainly one that's always happened, and it certainly will continue to happen. Fitness is a very tough industry, and I always want you to be successful, but wanted to share those, folks. But moving on here, wanted to highlight a few examples. This is a very, very light show and tell example here, but one of my show and tell episodes. You wait until the marketing episode coming up here in a few weeks here, where I do a serious show and tell of marketing materials. But when you think about technology and innovation, this is something that is happening not only in the fitness industry, but just in all types of industries and sectors. People are looking at, particularly in leadership roles, how is technology making us more efficient? How is technology, or how can technology make us more efficient? How can technology improve the efficiencies of our operations, increase our sales, increase our revenues and profitabilities? I mean, there's just so many. How can we replace our employees with technology in terms of robots and automation and things like that? So it's the impact of technology in all sectors and industry is just far-reaching and just extremely vast, because everything from HR is being impacted, of how do we recruit people, are there technological advances, and certainly softwares and things like that, AI, artificial intelligence, that can be used in terms of recruiting and sourcing candidates and using predictive analytics to evaluate, if you hire a certain type of person based on a profile that you've developed or created, how successful is this person likely to be in this role based on, where they stand in their current attributes and their background. I mean, it's fantastic, and it is fascinating, the changes. But so when we think about technology, and of course, this certainly, when we think about water, this is just, life-sustaining. Water is life-sustaining, but we think about core hydration. So Kroger actually was giving these away a couple weeks ago on Free Friday, and so this was an item they were giving away, but I thought this was a great example. But of course, when I saw this, Rachelle, the staunch environmentalist, was like, look at this packaging. But think about the planet, the ramifications of our planet on this packaging, but I'm going to put that aside and be objective in this episode. When you think about core, and so this, of course, is a newer bottled water. I know I've seen them in the last couple of years or so, but what it is touting is, and some of the features, 7.4 pH, perfectly balanced water with electrolytes and minerals. And so just, to flip it over here on the back, it says perfect pH 7.4, your body's natural pH balance. Second, ultra purified, 7-stage purification process. Next, electrolytes and minerals for hydration and balance. Next, free from fluoride, chromium 6, MTBE, arsenic, and chlorine. And lastly, 100% recyclable. Now that's good news. 100% recyclable plastic bottle, BPA free. And so let me read it here with the copy on here on the back. A balanced body works better. It's that simple. That's why core hydration mirrors your body's natural pH balance of 7.4. Core hydration is ultra purified and has a special combination of electrolytes and minerals that work with your body to help you stay hydrated, balanced, and feeling your best. And so this was just interesting. We think about all industries. What's happening? What in particular, you in leadership roles, what can you do in terms of innovating, in terms of improving what you're doing, processes, procedures, policies, all of that? How can you integrate technology and leverage the power of technology to improve your current operations and what you're doing, and certainly to poise you well for future growth and success? But so we've got, all types of water available, certainly in grocery stores and retail stores and convenience stores and everywhere else you want to look. But we see continuous innovation happening even in, we talk about just water, the product lines, various product lines of water. Continuous innovation happening, and certainly this core was a great example of something, and Kroger was giving them away for free, and just certainly wanted to share that. And next here, when we think about some more innovations that are occurring in the fitness industry, and that is the role of just leveraging technology in terms of kiosks, and I won't get into, I mean, there's a whole conversation that can be had in terms of kiosks and the impact and how they improve workflow on behalf of employees. They create efficiencies on behalf of employees, but also member check-in, membership renewal, membership signups, and certainly 24-hour fitness is certainly one, or certainly a chain that's leading in this area in terms of integrating kiosks and things like that, and leveraging technology. And there's a few different examples that I can certainly highlight as they relate to 24-hour fitness, leveraging technology. But I just want to highlight one here, and this appeared in clubindustry.com on April 30th. And so the actual title of the article is 24-Hour Fitness Targets Growth and Transformation Under New CEO. And so Pamela Kerfall wrote this. And so I just want to pull out a quote from this, and by the new CEO, Tony Weber. And it says, although there will be kiosks and online joining options, people who still want the traditional tour and a person to talk to will have that option. I did a lot of research behind the scenes based on this, and 24-Hour is actually offering, they piloted it before, and so they're actually offering self-guided tours and leveraging kiosks within their chains and their locations within the chain to allow members to sign up and perform other functions to, of course, streamline operations, but also just to free up some employee time in terms of employee efficiencies and all of that. And so this is an example. I mean, kiosks, I mean, we see them everywhere. We see them in, years ago, when the airports really started, check-ins right there at the kiosk, instead of having to go and deal with the person, the agent, the airline agent right there at the gate, or coming in to the actual airport. And so kiosks are everywhere. I mean, you go to just Walmart as an example, Target, any of those, self-checkouts. Why? Because those create operational efficiencies, and they also help to reduce headcount. You're talking about, payroll is always going to be the biggest expense, and you think about overhead and operations of a business, of a nonprofit, doesn't matter. That's always going to be high overhead, just what you're paying people and having people on payroll. And so automating that process is certainly something that all types of companies, businesses, organizations, corporations are doing. And 24-Hour Fitness is certainly not the only one, is certainly leading the charge in that area. And I remember going back to last October, when I went to, actually October, one visit, and then one day in December when I was in Baton Rouge at the Planet Fitness location on Segan Lane, and I was so blown away when I saw that kiosk. But theirs was specifically for the Black Card area. And so the Black Card amenities, you're able to enter your membership number, actually scan your key card, and it brought up your information, and you're actually able to reserve times, and so that was so sweet. But I won't get into that, but that's an example. I'm seeing innovation within the fitness industry in Louisiana. I mean, I was just so blown away, like, this is happening in Louisiana. I was so happy and just so proud for the great state of Louisiana, and the newest location on Erie Drive in Shreveport, the fourth location in that area. When I walked in and I saw, of course, it's a purely nearly all Matrix gym equipment. But when I saw the selectorized weight machines, all Matrix, of course, but then they had the counter, the counters and the timers on the side for active and rest periods when you're on the machine. And I saw that, and I just said, see, this is what I'm talking about, technology, leveraging technology. I was blown away when I actually saw that in Planet Fitness. You don't see those in traditional chain gyms. You see those more in higher end gyms. So I thought that was just such a wonderful thing. But also leveraging technology. All right, folks, I mean, I challenge you. Where does your equipment stand? And I'm actually next going to be highlighting a pre-core survey, a couple of surveys that they sent me. Where does your facility stand in terms of leveraging technology and the machines? In Shreveport, all of their clubs are just another leveraging technologies. They have, wireless audio. All right, there's no plugging. There's nobody's plugging their earplugs into the machine, their headphones into the machines. It's all wireless. So it's things like that. Bringing your facility into the 21st century, and particularly these days, and if you're targeting a lot of millennials, and even if you're not, this technology piece is going to be crucial to the success of your business. And so wanted to highlight here a couple of Precor surveys, Precor being a fitness equipment manufacturer, and certainly full disclosure, my favorite cardio machine of all time is the Precor EFX, and I so miss that. I so miss my Precor EFX machines. But whenever I have an opportunity to visit a gym, or whether it be a hotel gym, whatever the case may be, I always take an opportunity to leverage and take advantage of the opportunity to get back on a Precor EFX. But received a survey from Precor in via email, and so the title was Precor Console Research 2019. Received this survey on May 14th of this year, and it says at the end of the survey, it says, "Thanks for helping the Precor team develop better future products." And so, just want to highlight a couple of questions here in terms of how they relate and all of that to this whole concept of technology. So yes, equipment manufacturers are also absolutely all over leveraging the value of technology and innovation to improve their product offerings. Why? Because they want to be able to provide and supply fitness facilities with the latest and greatest in terms of technology, and making sure their members and potential members have access to the technology they're experiencing and expecting, quite frankly, on a regular basis in their daily lives. So what percentage of your exercisers have their mobile device with them while using cardio equipment? Next, how important is allowing exercisers to pair their Apple Watch with the cardio equipment? And so the actual, in terms of what the available answers were: extremely important, important, not so important, and not at all important. All right, lastly for this survey, there were more questions, but I just picked out a few for the interest of time. How important do you think it is for your exercisers to watch/listen to their music and or videos on the cardio console rather than directly from their mobile devices? Extremely important, important, not so important, and not at all important were the answers. So again, the product team is leveraging insights to better determine and better develop products to outfit gyms, facilities, and all of that. So I received another Precor survey via email on the 22nd of May from the product development team again. And it says, and the title of this survey was "Your Opinion About Color Accents on Precor Products." And so here's a couple of questions. Number one, are you aware of the bright blue color accents on Precor products? Yes, no, and unsure were the answers. And of course, since I spent a lot of time, over 17 of the last 25 years of my fitness journey on that Precor EFX. So I absolutely personally would know that bright blue color very, very well. Next, if you had a mix of Precor cardio equipment with some that had the bright blue accents and some that didn't, would you consider the equipment with the accents, or without the accents, pardon me, to be less premium? And so let me state that again, just I don't want to confuse you. If you had a mix of Precor cardio equipment with some that had the bright blue accents and some that didn't, would you consider the equipment without the accents to be less premium? And the answers were definitely would, probably would not, definitely would not important to me or my business. So those were the answers. And so this, of course, you think about, yes, from a product development standpoint, but this also too, we talk about bright blue accents. This is focused on branding, in terms of branding and how prominent is the color scheme that they have on their equipment. So this is certainly more of a marketing and branding type of survey, but of course that falls under the product development. So Precor, all over it. And of course they're not the only one, but this is certainly a manufacturer that reached out to me via email, and I was so happy to oblige and just absolutely just love Precor and just spent many, many years on their cross-training elliptical EFX machine. So that's an example. Are you surveying your members to determine what do they want to see? Are you leveraging technology? Are you not? Do they even care a bit about technology? Can they give you ideas in terms of which direction to go in terms of implementing and integrating technology within your operations in terms of product offerings and certainly machine offerings? So these are examples. Of everything from water companies and water manufacturers all the way to fitness companies and fitness manufacturers leveraging the power of technology, and I challenge you to do the same. And folks, what I wanted to do next here is continue this conversation and on technology, research, innovation, and what is happening. You've heard me mention on a couple of episodes that I am I'm a participant, a healthy volunteer participant with the University of Michigan School of Medicine. They do a lot of research, just a Research One University, a premier world-renowned research university. They do a lot there. But I was invited to join the IMPACT study, which is a very, very important study, of course. And so what it stands for, and you would see it here, is the Michigan Predictive Activity and Clinical Trajectory Study. So I was invited via email to participate in that study on April 2nd of this year, and had my first kickoff meeting there on April 30th, and I wanted to share a little bit more about that, and just as it relates to this whole concept of technology, research, all of that. And so what I have here is one of the study brochures that I received at the kickoff. So I've been participating since May 1st. And so it's actually, can potentially be, it will for me, you have the option to certainly finish early, but it can be, or it is designed to be a 3-year longitudinal study. And so I plan on going the entire 3 years. And so what this study is all about, and I think it was important for me to really highlight this on this episode, is I've mentioned that I've been part of that study a couple of times, but wanted to dig in a little bit deeper, but not too deep, because I don't want to hijack my episode talking about this particular study. So what this study is all about. So it says here on the brochure, the interaction between disease, daily quality of life, and healthcare services are poorly understood in today's research. The University of Michigan is conducting a study with the aim of improving the existing body of knowledge by integrating, number 1, Apple Watch data, number 2, blood pressure measurements, number 3, electronic health records, number 4, genetic information, number 5, patient survey data. The survey is sponsored by Apple. Okay, the goal of the study is to understand the relationship between biosensors, health information, and health outcomes. In order to achieve this, we will ask you to complete surveys while using an Apple Watch and a blood pressure monitor so we can better understand your overall health and level of activity. So I'm going to skip a lot of this because there's a whole lot of information and I don't have time to go through it all. All right, so the contents, and so what is the information that they're gathering? All right, so number 1, bodily materials like blood. So I had to do blood samples, I had to do a blood draw when I did the kickoff meeting on April 30th. So bodily materials like blood, tissue, and molecules, lab test results, and certain genetic data. Next, personal health information such as demographic, contact, and health information from your hospital medical record, including future records. Number 2, under that, results from your x-rays, blood tests, or urine tests, your health history, including mental health treatment, health information from sources outside of our medical center. Number 3, device and application data from the Apple Watch and iPhone, such as number of steps taken, distance walked, heart rate, other activity-related information, both historical and present. From the blood pressure monitors, such as blood pressure and heart rate. From the My Data Helps, and that's an app we had to download on our phone, such as surveys about your health, mood, pain, sleep, and overall quality of life. Next, from the MyPact app, another study, this is a very specific study app from the MyPact app, information from your Apple Watch and iPhone recorded by light, movement, spatial orientation, travel distances, and temperature sensors. So a lot there, and you can see, of course, we have my Apple Watch, being tracked, and activity level, and all of that. So there's a lot of information that they're integrating for this study. But at the end of the day, when you think about, obviously, Apple had a lot of potential, hospitals and research centers, tier 1 research universities they could have partnered with, but they chose the University of Michigan. And so, part of what they're studying is how accurate the measurements, of course, is the biosensors and things like that on the Apple Watch, how accurate is that? And that's why it's being cross-checked. Their measurements are being cross-checked with the Omron blood pressure cuff, which is wireless, which is Bluetooth. So again, leveraging technology, this between this, my iPhone, and this blood pressure cuff. A lot of data on a daily basis. I'm required to check my blood pressure twice a day. So there are 2 separate readings, 60 seconds. So I have to wait 60 seconds, take my blood pressure once, wait another 60 seconds, and then take my blood pressure twice. And that's actually based on guidelines by the American Heart Association. So that's done twice a day, but there is a bonus 3rd time of taking blood pressure, and I'm an overachiever, even on clinical trials and medical studies. So I do the bonus blood pressure reading. So I've been doing blood pressure readings for 3 times a day, or a total of 6 blood pressure readings since May 1st. All right, and so That's how that works. So, okay, what is this reading in terms of my heart rate and blood pressure? Okay, now cross check that with what Omron is saying. And so it's all the data is all transferred from my watch, also from the Bluetooth device here to my iPhone. I can pick up my iPhone and the data, hit the My Data Helps app, and I can see it all there. The Omron, we had to download the Omron app here for the blood pressure. I can see all of my blood pressure readings I've taken since May 1st. So technology, all right, and I don't have to, the researchers at the University of Michigan are able to pull this data at any time. There's no going in person and let's download the data and all of this and that. So just incredibly powerful, but also leveraging the power of technology. We think about the old blood pressure cuffs from back in the day, and people are still using them, hospitals still using them, all in that. But also we think about the advancements in terms of measuring blood pressure. All right, there's you don't have to spend days, and of course this is not a product endorsement for Apple Watch or the Omron or the Core Water. These are just examples. And certainly this MyPack study is a real life example from my own life. But when you think about the days when people had to take their blood pressure and then write it down on a log and then take it to their doctor and hear my readings, and now all of that information can be housed right on your phone. Of course, not it could be an Apple or Android device or even other devices, but just the power of technology to move things forward. All right, and I mentioned I was invited to this MyPack study on April 2nd. Of course, I accepted, and of course, very happy and enthusiastic participant. But also, I mentioned on the last episode that one study turned into 4 studies. So I'm happy to report that 2 of the 4 studies are done, and now I have 2 that are currently ongoing. You see, I'm only wearing 1 watch this last week. I had 2 watches on the last episode, but that particular study, that activity study, where I had to keep that watch on from May 15th to May 22nd, couldn't take it off. It was waterproof, so I had to use it in the shower, in the bath, everything. That tracked everything, as well. But yet again, technology. There's no what time did I wake up in the morning, writing it down. And certainly if you don't have any other options, that is a great thing to do if that's what your doctor or physician or other medical professional advises. But certainly keep that in mind when you think about technology. What is Apple doing? How are they advancing and partnering with medicine to make advancements, improvements, and innovate in terms of the technological advances in terms of medicine? Of course, the medical and healthcare entities themselves are all over how to improve patient health and how to improve patient outcomes. But technology is at the root of this. I could go on and on and on and on about the power of technology, but I just want to challenge you to keep on devising and brainstorming ways. How can you leverage the power of technology within your facility? And I promise you, those facilities, and particularly those corporate chains that are really leveraging it and leveraging the power of AI, artificial intelligence, data, and all of that predictive analytics, this is so important. It's so important, and I just don't want you to be left behind, quite frankly. When it comes to facilities and those that are advancing and integrating technology, you're certainly well ahead of the curve. Because from a competitive standpoint, again, my next series here, starting next week, is going to be on marketing. And so it's far easier to market your facility when you've got some things to say. Quite frankly, and some competitive strengths and some unique USP or unique selling propositions around technology and innovation and what your facility can offer that others can't, even within your franchise, even within your chain. All right, that's going to be less likely in your corporate chains because they're more standardized, and so you're going to see you're going to see the same equipment in different facilities. But certainly, there's a lot of opportunity for private facility and gym studio owners as well as franchisees to really innovate and make yourself and your facility really stand out ahead of the pack. And so folks, I wanted to wrap this episode up here as I'm kicking off marketing on the next episode, but going to kick off that particular series there on with the value of competition. I've talked about the value of competitive analysis. I spent all last summer, there was 12 episodes on the value of competitive analysis, but I think this is something that is so important. If you are unaware of what your competitors are doing, if you're unaware of what's happening in your market, if you're not doing SWOT analyses, if you're not evaluating threats and opportunities within your market and as they relate to certainly your own strengths and weaknesses and where you stand, you are behind the ball. You're just behind the curve, you're behind the 8 ball, and I just want to challenge you to really think things through and just take the necessary steps, incremental steps, to certainly become more competitive, because you are competing with people within your franchise, you're competing with other gyms, you're competing with chains, you're competing with people working out at home, you're competing with YMCAs, it doesn't matter. You got to recognize the broad scope of competition that your facility or facilities are facing, and really be well poised in order to take advantage and make sure your facility lasts, endures, and becomes and remains successful. It's very, very difficult to sustain success, and I want you to be able to do so. And so, folks, I wanted to highlight an example here when we talk about the value of competition and inter and intra franchise competition. And I want to highlight a Planet Fitness example as it relates to renovations. I mean, of course, I mentioned on the last episode just how, I was, certainly a member of the Novi Club for about 6 months, a little bit less than 6 months, from June to December 2017, and have visited there, a few times, and was certainly grateful, particularly on those snow days where just the morning we had all this snow on the ground, and so that was an option where I was actually able to go to that gym later in the day. So I've been back, and just, they've got just a titan there at the front desk, and by the name of May Kona, and certainly Doug in Northville. But I mentioned before, I went in there on Thanksgiving morning, 2018, and noticed the signs in there. But first it was just, they're open, oh my goodness, Powerhouse was always open on holidays. So, but anyway, but I certainly respect and understand and value the people having their days off. But certainly I went in there and just, that was the first time I'd been in there since I left. So I went in there and I said, oh my gosh, they're open, cool. But then I saw the sign saying, renovations coming soon, and I saw the pictures and all of that of what's to come. But then I was, back in there on May 18th, and the signs still up. The signs were still up, and there's no beginning of renovation and just all of that. But so we talk about inter and intra franchise competition. I contrast that with an example here. I received an email from Planet Fitness here, and I remember I was on the couch on my phone scrolling through my email, and then it said club closing for renovations, and I saw that and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, is my club closing for renovations? And so, but anyway, so this was May 10th, received this email, came through at 3:14, and so then I opened the message and it says, we're renovating. Our Planet will be closing at 9 p.m. on Tuesday, May 14th, with plans to reopen this summer. All members are encouraged to use any of our surrounding locations while we are closed. And it has a picture of an inside of, actually you see the selectorized weight machines at a Planet Fitness. And it says, click here for a list of nearby locations. And so, but the actual location was Planet Fitness, 27640 Middlebelt Road in Farmington Hills. Now, this isn't my home club, but I certainly appreciated receiving this because, I'm always doing an adventure somewhere based on what's going on in my life and appointments and meetings and all of that. So I certainly appreciated the heads up that this was happening. But when I saw this email, there's a few things certainly that went through my mind, and I said, okay, this email, and I was actually in this particular Farmington Hills Club at the Planet Fitness on April 4th. It was April 4th. I had a meeting in that area or something, so went to that location and didn't see any signs up, and then I received this email on May 10th, but a few things went through my mind when I saw that, and that's why I'm highlighting this as a best practice. Okay, so when I saw this email, number one, there was heads up, yes, it's coming, even for people that aren't in direct members of that club. It was great to get this information because, again, you're not going to show up at a club and it's going to be closed. So, that was one of the certainly things that went through my mind. But also, I like the speed with which this renovation is happening. Okay, so the email comes out May 10th, it's closing May 14th. There's no signs. I was there on April 4th. There was no signs, that had been there for a long time, or even from the time I was there and all of that. Perhaps there were signs up there before this happened, but I just thought it was great, contrasting that with all due respect to the Novi Club, where 6 months that I was aware of. So I'm there in November 2018, and I'm there in May of 2019, and the same signs are still up, and there's been no progress on the innovation. And that's just, I felt so bad for members, and it's just don't do that. But see, I'm contrasting that with this right here, where you've got renovations with clear timing, at least a range of timing, plans to open this summer. And just knowing this group, this is a PF Michigan group gym, I just know intuitively they are going to hustle on this renovation. They are not going to keep this club closed down a long time. And a lot of clubs will do renovations and they have some of the club open, and then you got members complaining about the noise and the smell and just the people being there. So they took an approach, what I consider to be a very confident approach, and just going to shut the club down for a time frame and hustle to get it back open. There's no doubt in my mind, you're not going to 6 months from now, 9 months from now, people are going to be wondering what happened and when this club is opening. And there's no doubt in my mind because they've given a time range with plans to reopen this summer. And that was certainly something that went through my mind. Another thing that went through my mind, though, just going back to this whole concept of confidence, was the ability to shut down a club, entirely until that is done. A lot of franchisees, private club owners, studio owners would be afraid to do that. Okay, this group owns 46 clubs, and then if you do a leadership sketch, I do leadership sketches, and I mentioned long time ago, you can pull out a leadership sketch. I would be able to pull out. Confidence is one of the strengths of this particular, the leadership group of this particular franchise group, leadership team, because they're able to do this with Crunch Fitness, a direct competitor, a major direct competitor. Of course, Crunch is on the other side of the suburb, bordering Novi. This is, this Planet Fitness location is on the other side of Farmington Hills. So, but still a direct competitor that is going on offense against Planet Fitness. But the ability to close this club and to have the confidence to do so and know that they'll be okay. And I think that is absolutely, I think that's remarkable, and that's why I'm highlighting this as a best practice. Sometimes you got to make decisions. They won't be easy decisions because they're going to have members, oh, my club is closing, what am I going to do? And, should I find another gym? But it takes confidence to rise above that. All right, but when you grow to 46 clubs, and certainly will continue to grow, no doubt, there's some confidence behind that. To know that you'll be okay, you got to do what's best for your club. Again, improvement, innovation, making changes, making improvements. This is an older location. Actually, it was clean, spick and span when I was in there. Melissa was actually at the front desk that morning. She and her team are doing a good job. And so, but this is an example. And so when I actually clicked on it, when it says click here of a list of nearby locations, in that same vein of confidence. And so that's why I'm just saying how, our confidence or lack thereof is always going to show. And this was an example of certainly of confidence, is when I clicked on this. And when it said, the list of locations, and it brought up, as you can see here, and that's why I'm using my iPad today, but you can see we've got Google Maps, you can see them all located, and you've got Planet Fitness locations, and it could go on and on and on, because we've got a lot of locations here in the Metro Detroit area. But why I say that approach, click on this and you can look at other clubs. There are other clubs in this list that are not part of that franchise groups. They're not, certainly locations that are not part of that, locations within that franchise group. So it takes some confidence to say, go to these other clubs that aren't even within our own franchise group. We know that we'll be okay. We know that people will come back. But so that certainly speaks to the ability and to have the confidence to be able to do that. Because when I was at the Novi Club, and this is again going back to the summer of 2017, and the club was closed for 2 days. We had a boil water advisory here in Novi, and whatever, certainly understandable that the club closed. But I was told, go to Canton, go to Northville, go to Waterford. And I actually ended up going to Canton that next day. And certainly, I had a good opportunity to go to that club, and certainly glad I did that following morning. But that's an example. That particular employee was trying to keep me within the locations of that particular franchise group, which, hey, that's loyalty. I understand that. That's wonderful. But that often case may not be the best option for members to stay within your particular franchise group and try to keep people within the franchise group. But I really like this. Just the update, the at least rough tentative date timing of this summer, with plans to open this summer, where it's not opening, renovations coming soon, and that's open-ended. There's no date, there's no time frame clearly communicated on the signs that I saw there in Novi, and I just felt so bad because I know those people are thinking, like, when is this happening? And so in the spirit of, with all due respect to all locations and all of that, I think this is a picture perfect example of how things are done differently within franchises, and how, again, it's a situation like this when people can leave your facility and go to another facility, and you're not giving members, particularly on the actual signage itself, and a clear indication of when renovations are going to happen, when it's going to be completed. There's no progress reports, and perhaps maybe that's coming to those members via email. I don't know, because I'm not a member of that club. But when the signage is saying coming soon and it's been months and nothing is happening, and then you see something like this where there's just got more time frames and just all of that, just kind of more certainty and planning from a planning standpoint, from a member of, okay, well, I know I can go to this club and for a while and they should be sometime this summer or whatever. So I just think it's very, very important to, yes, to communicate to your members when it's coming, but also give a rough time frame. Yes, things change, yes, whatever, but you can also update members. If things are taking a little bit longer, you can do that. But I just wanted to highlight this certainly is a confidence and leadership best practice in terms of renovations coming, making the decision to actually do it, and then but also do a full club closure, but also just having the confidence to let your members go to other gyms. Go to other gyms in the area which may not be your own. They may decide to come back to your gym, they may not. All right, but it's going to take it takes a level of confidence to be able to let your members go and say, hey, to be able to do that. So I just wanted to share that. Recognize not only if you're a private gym, yes, you're competing with the franchises and the YMCA and studios and all of that, and Peloton bikes and on-demand classes that people can do at home. But you're also, particularly if you're a franchisee, you're competing with other locations within your franchise. You're competing with other franchisees, other people leading franchises. And so I always want to challenge folks to really think that through. I'm going to talk about this in another episode, the intra and the inter competition that exists, and certainly based on my experiences here, almost 2 years, June 28th at Planet Fitness, and just the competition that exists between locations. That is just been powerful, very powerful lesson that certainly I've learned, and I look forward to sharing more lessons and what I've learned in that specific regard, and it will help you regardless of if you're a franchisee or not. Doesn't matter, but you just got to recognize you want to bring your A game to your facility on each and every day, in each and every way. We're not perfect. No facility is perfect. No human being is perfect. But you always want to wake up and strive to be and do the best that you can be, folks. So that's all I have for you. Just wanted to highlight how technology and innovation is really shaping the industry. I told you from time to time I'm going to drop in these fitness trends episodes to really stay on top of things, and then that way I'll do a fitness industry episode and it'll be super long with all this stuff I need to cover. So I'm just going to do it from time to time. But again, these are not product endorsements. These are certainly examples. But folks, I cannot wait until next time. Get ready for this long awaited marketing series, and I can't wait to help you and your business reach the next level. So until then, folks, thanks so much for your time, and to remember, I am positively passionate about your success and fitness.